All right. Mic check. I'm good. So I'm Max Duran. CWB Association Welding podcast. Today we have a really cool guest. Welding podcast.
The show is about to begin.
Hello and welcome to another edition of the CWB Association podcast. My name is Max Duran, and we have this wonderful collaboration going on with Skills Canada, where I am interviewing the wonderful NAC, the National Alumni Committee members across Canada. Today, I have Emma Lewis coming to me from Manitoba, Winnipeg, Manitoba, and she competed in the public speaking competition. So, Emma, how are you?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm doing good. And like we were just talking before we started recording, I maybe I should be taking some notes. You are a winner in public speaking, and I'm just an amateur, man. Like I'm just an amateur.
Oh man, no, it's I really like public speaking, but I wouldn't say I'm a professional or anything like that.
Well, you got medals, don't you?
Yeah, one or two.
Yeah, see, I don't got any medals. So Emma, let's talk about where you are. You right now you're in Winnipeg, Manitoba?
Yeah, that's right.
And are you born and raised in Winnipeg?
Yeah, like I lived outside of Winnipeg for a few years, but like I went through school here and everything. So
So you're a Winnipegian, Winnipegger?
yeah, I think Winnipegger, but I've never really referred to myself as that before. But yeah.
Well, I love the city of Winnipeg. I have a lot of fun. I feel like sometimes people give it a little bit of a rough go, but I don't get it. It's a wonderful city.
Yeah, it really is. I honestly love Winnipeg. I'm excited that we're hosting nationals this year. It's gonna be awesome.
I was just gonna say that, and we're gonna be in your backyard for nationals here at the end of May. How pumped are you for that?
I'm really excited. I can't wait to show everyone around. Last year, the National Alumni Committee, we met at nationals in Vancouver, and it was really cool to hang out with the committee member from BC. She was kind of showing us around, so I can't wait to be that person.
You're gonna be the host,
Yeah,
the hostess with the mostest. That's awesome.
yeah.
So let's talk a little bit about, you know, how you ended up getting into public speaking. That seems like a very niche thing to find. So I guess at what age, as a young person, did you think that your speaking abilities would be something that you would want to focus on?
Well, in the third grade, we had this competition. It's like a French immersion public speaking thing. So everyone in the class does a speech, and then the best speech from each class competes at the school level, and then you can go to divisionals and then provincials. I think nationals. I'm not sure. I never made it that far, but the first year I made it to divisionals, I think, and so I don't know. I was like, I guess I'm good at this. So and I went from there.
Now, public speaking is considered an art and it has for, thousands and thousands of years. You're going back to Socrates and being on the street corner and putting together the proper, formats of elocution and discussion, discourse. And there's rules and there's, people think that public speaking is just having the guts to get up behind the mic, but there's a lot more to it, isn't there?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, it's it's kind of being poised under pressure. It's definitely still something I'm working towards, but yeah, just kind of those split second decisions when things go wrong and how do you not let anyone else know that something went wrong. I feel like that's kind of the hardest part of public speaking, in my
Yeah.
opinion.
So in grade three, as a young person, you're like, I'm good at this. Did you think about it like every year at school? Was there more competitions? Did you sign up for them every year? Is this like just an ongoing thing that you kind of kept at?
Well, the same competition was like mandatory until grade five. Actually, I can't remember, maybe until grade eight or something like that. So I did that every year. And then in high school, it wasn't mandatory anymore. So I kind of joined like speech and debate club, and went that way. I never really did debate, but I always liked doing public speaking. And I was in
Mhm.
lots of musicals and plays and things like that too. So I feel like that all kind of went together.
I was gonna say, people often ask me where I learned to speak, and I do a lot of public speaking. I do a lot of tours. I'm on stages, and it's like, when did I get into that, or how did I get into that? And I was a musician as a young person, and I love playing music, and I was in a band, and you gotta get used to being up on a stage and performing in front of people, and figuring out how to correct something if it goes wrong on the fly. You can't just stop. You know what I mean? So
Yeah, yeah.
so in your background, were you into theater? Were you into music? What are the things that interested you that line up with this?
Honestly, as far as music goes, kind of everything. Like I started taking piano lessons when I was 6. Like my mom's a musician. She was a choir teacher for a lot of years and she plays piano. So I actually wanted to play violin, but she was like, you have to learn piano first. And then I never learned violin. But yeah, that's kind of where it all started. And then I joined choir and it kind of snowballed from there. And then in high school I was in like 4 bands and 4 choirs and musical and everything.
So it was like
So
your life to be
yeah.
performing.
Yeah, exactly. So I feel like public speaking kind of just went naturally with that.
And then, throughout your high school career or term or whatever you call it, as you were on the debate speaking club, what kind of opportunities did you have then to hone your public speaking craft?
Well, there was uh, some competitions at private schools. I always had a tough time with those because they're all in like debate classes. Like they have to take debate class. So
Mm.
I remember the first one I went to, the impromptu speech. You pick like 3 topics and you have to choose one to talk about for 3 minutes. And I ended up talking about garden gnomes, and I just like couldn't hold it together. Like I was like laughing my head off, like trying to be serious about garden gnomes.
Hey, it's a serious industry.
Yeah, yeah. So, but yeah, it was always really intimidating, and I found at Skills Manitoba, that's kind of my first opportunity with this skills organization, was kind of a lot more of a welcoming environment. Not to say that it's not at the same level; it's really like tough competition as well. It's just the people are a lot friendlier and more supportive, which I feel like that helped me do better in the competition.
Mhm. So, for the people that are listening and they think public speaking, how is that a competition? How is that even something that you can get judged in? You know, what and let's stay here like in the high school level, as you're learning. What are the things that you're having to practice? How does it work? Do they just give you a random topic? You got 2 hours to figure it out, or is it like how does this system work for getting into a speaking competition and then working your way through it?
Yeah, so it depends on the competition. There'll be a lot of different requirements. Some competitions you can write a speech about anything you want, but usually there's like a prepared speech and then questions about that speech and then an impromptu speech. Those are kind of like the 3 components. For skills, they give you a topic and it's about skilled trades. And so there's a 6-minute speech about that. And then you have to make sure you know everything you're talking about because they're going to ask you questions about it. And if you don't know, then you're kind of lost up there.
Mhm.
And so there's a lot of different things that you got to practice. Like answering those questions is a big one. For me, that was a lot of what I did. And then also throughout the morning of the competition, we have a chance to walk around, look at all the competitions, talk to people, ask questions. A lot of at the time they were called the essential skills. I think there's a different name for them now, but
Yeah, the skills for
basically,
change now. Yeah.
yeah, skills for change. So they sort of said the impromptu speech would be about those kind of skills. So it's asking a lot of people like, oh, what kind of skills for change are you using in this industry? How does that, and then seeing how that goes across the board. It's pretty amazing.
Now, what about the mechanics of it? The how you stand, how you look, how you enunciate, how you do you get judged on that as well? What are the requirements?
Yeah, so there's a few different sections, but like presentation and confidence and like effective delivery. So they're looking for things like hand gestures, Are you just reading off of a paper? How much eye contact are you making? Do you have an expressive face, expressive voice? Um, and then also things like, are you speaking loud enough that people can hear you? Are you speaking too slowly, too quickly, or at an even tempo? Just that kind of thing. And it is a bit more subjective, but you could say the same for a lot of more artistic things like hairstyling or something like that. It's a craft, but it's a little bit more subjective as far as the judging might go.
Now, w- when people look at the trades and look at skills, provincially or skills national, it's very easy to pick out the trades because they have red seal programs or an apprenticeship program that backs them, supports them, funds them. What's public speaking have? Is there a national body that you are a part of? Is there a national curriculum or provincial? Like, just curious about what's the back end of the public speaking network.
Yeah, that's a great question. I mean, there's like Toastmasters is an organization I was a part of for a bit. It was during COVID, so over Zoom, I would meet with I think they were called the Women off Waverly or something like that was the specific group I was a part of. And yeah, it was pretty amazing to see like what a high level they were like honing their craft. I mean, they were talking about things like never saying like or what word choices are you using when you're improvising in speech, thinking about like the end goal of what you're going to say and how you're tying things together, even when you're just thinking up something on the fly.
Mm.
Um, and yeah, I would say I'm definitely at the beginning of my journey as far as that kind of stuff goes. That's pretty high level. But
So
yeah.
when did you attend your first skills? Were you still in high school or were you done high school?
That would have been in grade 10. So it was in 2017. And I was just approached by one of my teachers to compete. They're just looking for more people. The high school I went to is a skilled trades high school. So they wanted to have a lot of people going, right, to
Yeah.
represent.
And, was there a selection committee to pick you, or did the teacher just say, Emma, you're in?
I think what happened was the hairstyling teacher approached the speech and debate club and asked if anyone was interested, and the teacher said that I would probably be a good choice for that or something like that. It was a while ago, but yeah, it was pretty neat to be like coached by both the speech and debate teacher and the hairstyling teacher and seeing like the different perspectives. Um, yeah, like hearing about the content from a skilled trades perspective and then also the delivery from like the speech and debate perspective was really helpful for me.
Now, you started doing this when you were in grade 3, you said. Now you're in grade 10, 7 years later, and you're going to your first, you know, skills competition for public speaking. What was that like? How was that on your nerves? How did you feel going into that first competition where now you're up against other people who are very serious about this? And it's not just in a classroom with your friends, these are strangers now.
Yeah, it was definitely nerve-wracking. I mean, there was one girl who was also competing in public speaking from my high school. So we kind of banded together. I think towards the end of the day, I realized she was more competitive with me than I had originally thought. But
You
like
weren't as bro as you thought.
yeah, but it was nice to have a familiar face anyway. We like the
Mm.
morning when we were walking around, we went together. We both had our notebooks, like writing down what everyone was telling us. So yeah, it was, and then also the staff at Skills Manitoba is just so like welcoming. They're just so excited to have students there competing. So that really helped ease my nerves too. But yeah, I was shaking in my boots.
And how'd you do that first competition? You're in there, you're what, 14, 15 years old in grade 10. And plus skills is a lot to walk into, just all the stuff going on, all the trades, all the people. Um, how'd you do?
I actually ended up winning gold, and I went to nationals that year. So that was pretty big ego boost. No, I'm just kidding. But it was pretty amazing.
No, it's good to have an ego booster. Ain't nothing wrong with that.
I was surprised to win, to be honest, but it was pretty exciting. It was a tight competition for sure.
And
But
where
yeah,
was Nationals in 2017?
it was in Winnipeg actually. So
Yeah.
it was like, oh man, I don't get to travel, but it was cool still. Yeah.
And then you get to go to your first Nationals, and what was that like? Now you're really stepping up, right?
Yeah, I mean, just the scale of the national competition is incredible. Just seeing the sea of, I think it was 10,000 people at opening
Mm.
ceremonies. I ended up saying the mission statement in French, I believe. I think it was that year, but I was so nervous and like I've never spoken in front of that many people before, and just everyone's so excited, and then there's flags and noisemakers, and it's just such a great energy.
It is. It's a vibe, and it's very festive and exciting, and you can like smell the nerves of all the
Yeah.
competitors, like the adrenaline. Everyone is so pumped and hyped to be there.
Yeah, yeah, it's pretty amazing, especially seeing like people who are bringing toolkits and like so much stuff, and they're setting up entire kitchens inside of the convention center, which I've gone to that convention center my whole life, right? So just it was totally transformed. I was like, where even am I?
Yeah.
Amazing.
Now on the national level, how was the competition? What did you have to do?
The competitions was the same three requirements. You've got the prepared speech, the questions, and the impromptu, and it's the same prepared speech. So by the time you've already competed with that speech once, it's like, you've got to have this thing down.
Yeah,
So
you got it.
the competition is definitely a lot tougher. I mean, uh, yeah, it was seeing the best person from each province. It's like it's incredible to see what kind of poise people are able to have under pressure and answering these questions, and yeah, it was crazy.
And how'd you do?
I didn't place actually, but just the experience, honestly. I
What's
was
that called? A medal of excellence?
yeah, yeah, I got a participation certificate there, but it was I I realized going into it, I was like, oh man, I don't think I realized the scope of this at nationals, right?
Mhm.
So yeah, it was pretty impressive.
And then the year goes by, and that's the first year you dipped your toes, got the provincials, then nationals. Now you're
Yeah.
rolling into 2018. You got this under your belt. What are you thinking? Were you thinking already like I'm going to compete again? I'm going to do better?
Yeah, yeah. So I did compete again at provincials the next year. I didn't make it to nationals. I think maybe my ego got the best of me. I'm not sure.
Ah, you thought you
Uh,
were too good, too cool for school, and you couldn't do it, or
yeah, I mean, I'm not sure exactly what happened. I mean, everyone was amazing, so it's always a tough call. I ended up getting silver, so it was so close. Um,
hmm.
but yeah, it's still an amazing experience. I mean, you can't complain.
And so you went from gold to silver. I mean, the competition might have stepped up. You never know. You have an off day. You walk away from that, and are you thinking next year I got this?
Yeah, yeah,
Like,
exactly. I was like, "Oh, man." I was like, "I gotta get it next time for sure." So,
yeah. So now
yeah.
you're in grade 12 and you're 2019, and you're getting ready for even just the local, practice sessions and the regionals. How did you feel about the year? You're like, this is my year. This is going to do it. I'm not going to let anyone stop me.
Yeah, I mean, that's my grade 12 year too. So for public speaking, that competition ends in high school. You can't compete after that. So, like, this is my last chance, I've gotta make it. And nationals were not in Winnipeg anymore.
Halifax. Yeah.
Yeah, so I was like, "I gotta do this because then I can, travel." I've never been to the East Coast before. Uh,
Hmm.
and I ended up, winning provincials that year, so that was great.
So you win provincials, and then you get to have the chance to go to Halifax. I was in Halifax for that. Well, I've been to lots. I was in Winnipeg as well previously, but I was at Halifax, and that was an awesome trip. Awesome
Yeah,
trip.
yeah, it was amazing.
So
Yeah.
how is it for you? You're getting out there to the East Coast finally. You get to experience this trip part that everyone else gets to. How did you feel about your chances?
I mean, this time I kind of knew the scope of things, but I honestly wasn't so sure if I'd be able to pull through. I mean, I was in four bands and four choirs, all this stuff. So,
Hmm.
and yeah, that year my coach was the electronics teacher at my school. He's amazing. I love him to death. He's a great
Yeah,
teacher, but some of his public speaking recommendations, I don't know if they were
not
quite
necessarily the best.
I don't know if public speaking was his expertise per se. So,
And so you line up to go do this competition. How many competitors was there against you in 2019?
in Manitoba,
No, in Halifax.
oh yeah, sorry. I think there was someone from every province but Quebec, something like that.
So
So
you're up
about
against 10, 11
10,
people.
10,
Yeah.
11, yeah. So it's pretty intense. And it's nice though, because the competition's a bit longer at nationals, right? So you're kind of like bonding with the
Hmm.
group of competitors. And also there were a couple other kids from my school who went to nationals that year. So we kind of had formed a friendship that week. So yeah, I mean, outside of the competition, even it's just such a fulfilling experience just to be with such
I
driven
remember
people.
just walking around, in Halifax and seeing all the young students there, just just walking around in groups and having fun and visiting, and it's awesome experience. Like this, you're never gonna forget, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's
And then how
really
did you do?
cool. Yeah, I again didn't place, but
Oh
yeah,
man, I was so ready for like I got gold.
I know. Yeah, I wanted the redemption arc too, but the winners were definitely well deserved, I have to say.
So
So
when you're there watching, do you get to watch the other competitors do their talks? Like everyone gets to watch everyone else talk?
yeah, yeah. I mean, not for the impromptu speech. So they kind of do prepared and questions all at once, and then everyone goes out of the room, and you're waiting to be called in to do your impromptu because everyone does the same impromptu speech. So you kind of get a little more time to prepare if you could watch.
Yeah.
But yeah, yeah, it's pretty neat.
And did you know, like, when you're sitting there and you're with your group of 11, 10 or 11 people, and everyone's kind of having their turns, are you like, oh, that person's gonna win? They got it in the bag, or did you feel like it was exactly how it went?
Yeah, there were definitely some front runners. I was like, yeah, I think it's kind of between, I had two or three people. I was like, they're probably going to get it. And then there's also like the people who kind of missed the memo too, unfortunately, because we all have to write
Yeah.
the same speech. So it's like, oh, they,
What are they
we've all
talking
done
about?
research about the topic. But yeah, then some people were like, I was like, I never thought about that. I never thought about it like that. And then they're saying it so eloquently and they're like driving the point home. Like, man, you've got this. Like,
Yeah, you sold me. I'm in.
yeah, yeah. Like, let me give you the medal right now.
So when you look at the skills, you talked about it was essential skills before, now it's skills for change.
Hmm.
When you look at the skills required in public speaking, you know, how have they affected your life in general? This process of learning and competing in the public speaking space.
Yeah, I mean, for one thing, there's just that like confidence under pressure and just being able to just face challenges head on and work your way through them with poise. I feel like that is one of the main things I've taken away. And also just I'm trying to think of the word. Oh man, it's really blanking on me. Just resilience. That's what it is.
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
losing or not lose. Well, I got silver. It's not really losing, but you know what I mean. Like going back year after year and
yeah,
just
yeah.
learning how to
The
deal with
tenacity to keep at
disappointment
it,
and
and yeah.
yeah. I mean, it's just invaluable experience. I feel like everyone needs to fail in their life so that you can learn how to keep going after that.
Oh, for
And just
sure. I have mastered failing. Like, I mean, I'm super good at it.
yeah. I mean, honestly, if you talk to anyone who has any kind of success, it's like that's won through failure, right?
Yeah, 100%. You
It's
don't know till you try. So, and
yeah,
that's it is what it is, right?
yeah, and that's the other thing that's kind of cool about skills is like everyone has that attitude of like just try, and so it's really refreshing to be around that.
Well, and that's awesome. In looking at your journey, from going from competitor at an early age to then skills, and then you finished 2019, and after 2019, you said the trip's over. There's no post secondary public speaking event. So what happens now? What do you do?
Yeah, I mean, I at that point I was kind of looking towards what do I do after high school, and I ended up going into theater for a couple of years there. But I was approached about I think it was last year about the alumni committee, and I was like I jumped on the opportunity
Mhm.
because honestly, skills has had such a big impact on my life, and something I'm really passionate about is like helping kids find where they belong. And I feel like that's what skills did for me. So being able to give back in that way is really amazing.
And as a alumni committee member, what are some of the things you do in order to help with that in your province?
Yeah, I mean, I'm on the board of Skills Manitoba. I'm the youth representative, and I definitely know the least about being on a board, but I'm happy to be there. Everyone else is in their business suits. I accidentally wore a hoodie to the first meeting. But no, but it is it's cool to be a part of that, and yeah,
Power to the hoodies, man. It
yeah,
is bring. But what's the point of a suit, anyways? Like, I mean, it's what's in your
yeah,
head that we want.
yeah, that's right. Oh, man. But no, it's cool to hear, like, other people's perspective. There's a lot of people in, skilled trades, like, professionally who are on the board, of course, makes sense happening there. So, it's cool to see their perspective and how passionate they are too. And then I'm kind of working on a few things as far as like social media and stuff. I'm the media representative for Skills Canada National Alumni Committee. So we're looking at getting some more stuff on the website, hoping to get more alumni involved uh, in the
Good, good.
competition.
So
Yeah.
if you're part of the social media committee for national, then you've probably shared some of my posts because I'm always posting stuff up about skills, and I know they get reshared, so someone's doing that.
Yeah, I actually don't have access to the Instagram, um,
Oh.
but props to whoever's doing that because
Awesome. Now,
yeah.
as we get towards the end of the interview, this passion that you have to contribute, is it only for, I shouldn't say only, but is it specifically in the public speaking world that you want to help mentor young people coming up, or are you looking to maybe grow inside of the skills community and become more involved in general, maybe with other jobs?
I mean, I think it's just about finding where people fit, right? And not everyone is going to fit in the same spot. So for me, I love that public speaking helped me find that confidence and learn that those like valuable skills of being in front of people. And I feel like that's applicable to every skilled trade. But I'm really just passionate about helping people to feel like they belong, to feel smart, and to feel like they can get something done and they can be successful. Because I know a lot of times kids don't feel that way, and so
Yeah.
finding skilled trades where sometimes if it's more hands-on, that's great for them, better than like something more like reading a book or I'm not sure like where people are
Whatever.
at, right?
Yeah.
Whatever it may
Yeah.
be, that's difficult.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I volunteer also at a kids club, and so I feel like I try and just take that attitude everywhere I go. Just help kids feel like they can belong and be smart and be a good kid, even if they're not told that elsewhere.
Yeah. Well, that's awesome, and it's very important in people's development to have those wins. You need to have some wins because then you'll remember a win forever. You can lose 1,000 times, but you remember the win, right? Like
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's great. Yeah.
now, if you could look back like now at the whole picture of your journey, from a young girl that just, I assume, loved to talk to to where you are now, you know, and then we put it in the frame of the skills network, when we talk about essential skills or skills for success. What were some of the skills that you had to pick up that you didn't have that now definitely are part of who you are?
Yeah, wow, that's a really great question. Um, Honestly, I think just the confidence to be myself. Growing up, I like, despite being in public speaking and all this, like being in front of people all the time, it's just, I sort of was trying to be like this really great student, really great daughter, like the kind of perfect kid, and not letting myself have the freedom to just be who I am. And I think that that's been really valuable for me now going into music. So I was in theater for a couple of years, and then during COVID, I kind of realized that's not even where I wanted to be. I was thinking about maybe teaching, but now I go to school for music, and it's just that's where I want to be. And having the confidence to say, you know what, no, I'm not going to finish this degree. I'm going to start a different one. Um, so yeah, I think
Yeah,
that's
my daughter's a music teacher. She went to college for music, and it's her place. And she's been musical her whole life. So it's the
wow.
journey. It is what it is. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
awesome. Well, to wrap up the interview, what piece of advice would you give someone? Like a young girl like yourself that's trying to be the perfect daughter and the perfect student and the perfect everything, and the pressure is tough to be perfect. But
Yeah.
what piece of advice would you give them in terms of seeking out their path?
Yeah, I think something that I would say is just the worst thing that happens if you fail is you fail. Like, you're not going to die or everything's not going to explode, You can just try again. The stakes are lower than you think.
Yeah, there's room for failure.
Yeah. Yeah. So take the chance, I think.
Awesome. Well, thanks, Emma, for this interview. Is there any shout outs that you'd like to send out to anybody?
Shout out to the National Alumni Committee.
Oh. And I assume you're going to be at Nationals, so I'll be seeing you there. I'll be there all week.
Yeah. Yeah. I can't wait.
Yeah, it's going to be lots of fun. I'm ready to party. I love Winnipeg. It's a good time.
Yeah. Yeah. It's going to be awesome. I'm super
Yeah.
excited.
Awesome. Well, I'll see you there. And
Yeah.
and thank you for being on the show.
Yeah. Thank you for having me. This is good fun.
Awesome. And for all the people that have been following these, make sure you leave comments and share and download and send it around. When these are all released, make sure you check all the episodes, as there's going to be quite a few. And we love to support Skills Canada and all the things they're doing here at the CWB. And we can't wait to work together on future projects and to see everyone in Winnipeg. So take care and stay tuned for the next episode.
We hope you enjoyed the show.